Right. 9 August 2025. And today I'm joined by a special guest, Comrade Traore. How are you, Comrade Traore?
Yes, Mr. Gambakwe, how are you? Thank you so much for having me on your show, man.
Okay,
Well,
fantastic.
thank you.
Fantastic. So, as usual, we're going to quickly discuss the week's issue. And this is to do with what we talked about last week, all the important activities that we're talking about. Now we want to bring people to the present. You've been supporting General Chiwenga. You've been supporting Comrade Geza. What is happening now? Where are we?
Now, thank you. Now, people need to understand something, that the Geza revolution has always been moving in phases. And one thing that we all agree on is that General Chiwenga has been giving people so much of a headache. Why? Because no one knows how he's playing his cards. Whereas everyone, as far as the Mnangagwa faction is concerned, everyone knows who are the key players. People like Garwe, people like Tungwarara, people like Wicknell Chivayo, and Tabire, the principal of the Zigananda faction, who is trying to be positioned to become the next leader of Zimbabwe just after Mnangagwa. So this is where the problem is. People don't know the next move. Why? Because General Chiwenga has been smart enough to play his cards closely to his chest. You see now. So it's unlike what has been happening during the entry point of the revolution, where we would see Mundara Geza looking at certain areas. Just because you'd find that certain areas where Mundara Geza would look into, there will be changes, be it in the military, being it with ministerial posts and things like that, there will be changes. But now it's quite difficult for them to do anything because they don't know where to touch. There's been a deafening silence. And I'm telling you, people will be hit by a massive surprise in the near future.
Okay. So are you saying General Chiwenga and Mundara Geza have not been successfully countered? Because Tagwire is now in the Central Committee. The 2030 agenda is back. Where are they succeeding?
Now, this I had long spoken about it, that this thing at one point, it's going to reach a certain level where you'll see these people, politics at top level, and these people will start attacking each other head on. Now, meaning to say, we'll have a limited number of casualties in the sense that it's top brass politics now. That's where you'll see people like Comrade Chris Muchangwa coming into play, setting the narrative straight, and General Chiwenga himself ejecting Kudakwashe Tagwire from the Central Committee meeting. So Kudakwashe Tagwire is not yet in the Central Committee. Why? Because there has to be a letter that must be sent to confirm his entry into the Central Committee, and that letter has not been written. Now, we've got parallel structures whereby we see people like Chinamasa trying to speak on behalf of, in place of the Secretary for Information in the Politburo, Comrade Christopher Mchangwa, whereby you see him sending a post at 3:00 a.m. in the morning. They're trying to force their entry. So these are tactics for a team that looks so big. It shows that there is so much panic within their camp, because at all things being equal, they would send these tweets via official platforms. But now if you see a Secretary for Legal Affairs is trying to speak as if he's the Secretary for Information who communicates the official standing of the party position, it's definitely a big sign of panic.
Okay, but now we're talking party politics. When Mundara Geza first came out, he never talked party politics. Mundara Geza has been dismissed from ZANU-PF. So should we look at what is happening in ZANU-PF, or should we look at what Mundara Geza is doing? Where should we look?
You cannot separate the two. You cannot separate the two. Why? First, you need to admit that ZANU-PF is not a small party, and it's got a bigger stake as far as national development is concerned, national politics is concerned. So whatever that happens within ZANU-PF, considering that it's the ruling party, dictates the narrative of the day. So when we're talking about the revolution, it's an inclusive. It's like where we've got people that are coming from whatever political parties coming, trying to form a consensus, a united force. Therefore, key players within the system, you will find them from ZANU-PF, people who are playing a much bigger role, a much active role that will bring about change in Zimbabwe. For now, it's going to come from ZANU-PF. Why am I saying so? ZANU-PF presently, being fronted by General Chiwenga, is the biggest stakeholder that has been talking about corruption, dealing with corruption, bringing about meaningful development to the nation of Zimbabwe. Whereas guys from other opposition parties, they've been very skeptical, they've been speaking with fear. It's like they're trying to prove to people that we do not have much power per se in line with whatever that is happening presently. This is why I say General Chiwenga is a critical figure at this point in Zimbabwe politics, and he's one person who's been speaking the language of change, meaningful development, and taking action, dealing with all people that have been sabotaging the economy of Zimbabwe, which has resulted in the hardships that everyone is currently suffering from.
Okay, let's unpack what you just said. You said Traore is not yet in the Central Committee. And you said General Chiwenga is the one who's going to take us forward.
Yes.
Take me through what you anticipate will happen if Traore is not in the Central Committee and General Chiwenga is going to take us forward. How is this going to work?
Now, we've got rogue elements. There's something that people need to see, that Mnangagwa himself is trying to play smart in all of this. Under normal circumstances, Mnangagwa by now should have said something, not just saying something ceremonially, you see, as if he's concerned. Now, the state of politics presently in Zimbabwe is a situation whereby things are not okay in ZANU-PF. We've got rich people who are engaging in corrupt activities which have sabotaged the economy of the nation. And these people are using their money to try and position themselves strategically in ZANU-PF and at positions in the country. You see, so the move is these people need to be dealt with. And General Chiwenga has been speaking against these people, be it Traore, be it people like Tungwarara, Wicknell Chivayo. That is why in his statements, given his presentations, he's always talking about the issue whereby he says money does not grow from trees. There has to be a traceable, money has to be traced to see where is this money coming from, be it it's being invested. There has to be a trace of the source of that money and what that money is doing. Because the issue is we've got people who are busy spending money, who are living large, who are splashing money, but for you to actually see where the money is coming from, the money is coming from dirty sources. And the tenders which are well known, you'll see whereby the tendering, the procurement process is very, very much compromised. Look at the toilets that were bought from here in South Africa that were procured by Wicknell Chivayo. One toilet seat was charged at $3,000. So General Chiwenga is saying, we're going nowhere at this rate, and we must not be respectful of whoever that is engaging in these corrupt activities, whether it's got $1 billion. These people must be dealt with. So there's a vacuum which is there, which General Chiwenga is trying to bridge. Because Mnangagwa has been quiet. Under normal circumstances, the president has to speak up. During the time of Mugabe, ZANU-PF was never in a chaos which is similar to this one. So the silence is actually a form of agreement to whatever that is happening. That Mnangagwa is endorsing people like Traore. Mnangagwa is working hand in glove with people like Tungwarara who are just moving around splashing money. They are not banking their money. Big briefcase deals have become the order of the day. So you need to understand that all of this process, considering that General Chiwenga is the key player who is the voice of reason in both the government and the party, there's quite a lot of things that are happening behind the scenes.
Okay, but we've seen General Chiwenga no longer attending any events that are being presided on by Mnangagwa. You saw that the graduation yesterday, he wasn't there. You saw other events this week. He was in his office, but he didn't attend. What is happening there?
Quite a lot is happening. I would not want to speak for him in this particular case, whereby he didn't attend, because I don't know his reasons. But one thing that I know is General Chiwenga is a principled man. He will attend to programs that are really necessary, whereby there will be much which is happening. He's not one person who's involving himself in petty factional things whereby you see people are pushing an agenda for 2030. Because now you'll find that also meetings that are currently happening now, they're not really about development. They're all about pushing the 2030 agenda. I don't know if you concur with me on this one.
Yes, I do. The problem is us as normal people. We want the way forward. That's why there was such a massive support from Geza. There was a support for Nyoka Mabunu. You saw everyone staying away on the 31st of March. Now, people don't want to deal with fights in ZANU-PF. They want change. What should people do? What should people look forward to? How do we get hold of Geza? He just came and gave us a promise. Should we as people wait for ZANU? What should we do?
Now, it's when it comes to change, we cannot really incline it only to ZANU-PF, because it's a national convergence that will bring about change. But also we need to be in agreement that much of the things which General Chiwenga is doing is exactly the concerns which are coming. He wants to address concerns which are coming from the masses, which Mnangagwa himself has failed to address. So 3/4 of the agenda of the revolution, those are the things which General Chiwenga is mostly speaking about. So we need to be in agreement that for now, the person that will lead the revolution and bring about change is General Chiwenga. If other people have got plans also, have got strategy that they feel will bring about change in Zimbabwe, then there's nothing wrong with that. Because we believe that, you know, anyone who will come up with an initiative to make Zimbabwe great is mostly welcome. You see, but it has to be organized. Unlike what
Traore, I agree. Everyone agrees with you that Chiwenga is the right man, is doing the right thing. That's why they supported and is most popular man right now. They agree that Geza is popular and is wanted by people. Nyoka Mabunu was followed by people. But people want to know what to do now, because we can't just wait. People want change. The vendors have been thrown out. Harare right now, shops have been closed, businesses have been closed. There's dirty water in the taps. People are unemployed.
Now, the problem that we're having now is whoever that thinks of doing something will just go on their social media account and say, on the 12th, there's going to be a national shutdown. Well, that is wrong. If anyone thinks of a strategy, there has to be a consensus. They must engage the proper stakeholders and say, we want to come about with a program like this. Then it goes on. People give people give it the adequate support so that it comes through and that it gives a meaningful results. But unfortunately now, people are not doing that. They're just doing things anyhow. Now, Geza said something to us. He is the commander of the revolution. We need to know this. Therefore, Geza, you need to understand that the strategy has changed now. It's different in the sense that before you'd say we're going to move in this way and do A and do B and do C. Now, people did their best. People did what they were required to do. And presently, Geza said, when he left us with his words, he says, we need to wait for a signal and action is going to come. And that is where all of us are waiting in anticipation of. That there has to be something that will come from the top that is going to liberate the people.
Okay, so I get that. You're saying the process is going to be led from the side Yam Geza. Now take us to Nyoka Mabunu. You know that I was helping Nyoka Mabunu a lot. We were going to court, we were publicizing what is happening now, that the court case has been taken over by other people.
They've dismally failed. Now, I spoke to Nyoka Mabunu and I spoke to him about his involvement with people like Stole and the things that he really needs to fix. And unfortunately, at this point in time, Nyoka Mabunu is a bit gullible because he's working under serious pressure, considering the fact that he's in prison and is not really well aware of things which are happening. And the fact that people thought, whilst you are still in charge, People thought because of the delays which are happening, it's because Gambakwe himself has been bought with 30 pieces of silver. People were not really sure of the systems that were, the proper procedures that were happening behind the scenes and the delays associated with the processes. So people thought and misconstrued that and said Gambakwe has been bought, something which was very, very wrong. Yes, there might have been one or two cases where people were not in agreement with the processes and how things were going. But one thing that we all need to be in agreement with is you were doing a far much better job than what happened after Sarawaka took over, than what happened after Stolle himself took over. It's been a mess, a huge one for that matter. So there's not really been much progress, to be honest with you. Nyoka Emabuni himself is broken. He's not in good spirits because of whatever that is happening now. And I had a conversation with him and we spoke about it. And I actually told him in person that if one thing that was good for you, which was happening, is the involvement of Gambakwe in this whole issue, because lawyers were getting paid, be it a small figure or whatever, but at least they were getting something to keep them motivated. And people were up to date with the developments of whatever that was happening with the court, something which is not happening anymore. It's like people wanted to be involved in Nyoka Emabunu case just for political relevance, because people want to launch their political careers. And honestly, to be honest with you, people are not contributing anymore. People are starting to ignore and to lose attention in regard to the Nyoka Emabunu case, which is a sad situation.
Okay, so Mkoma Malcolm,
yes.
You know, the pain I have for Nyoka is so much, and I love the way that he was representing the people. So what I believe we need to do, and I'm going to approach you again on the side. I believe that we need to restart the process and take over the process again, because we've shown the truth. So now we need to go back, all of us as a unit, and take over. Firstly, we take over the group, back the Nyoka Emabunu group, and secondly, we take control of the case. So I think we need to come back. Yourself, I'm asking you, using your influence, you've got a lot of influence on both sides, to organize that we take back the Nyoka Emabunu case, because they've missed the asylum application. The asylum application was not done. So he could now be deported to Zimbabwe as we speak.
I did talk to him. He did mention that to me, and he was saying, I'm really afraid for my life. I gave him words of courage in context of what he was trying to say. He was speaking from a perspective of someone who's giving up on life, that I've really tried my best, but unfortunately, nothing seems to be moving my way. And I was like, no. You must not give up. When we joined the revolution, we all knew things like this would happen at some point. It's a possibility, and unfortunately, it happened. You must not give up. You must not really give up. The mistake that we made, and this is what people need to allude to, it's pointless to criticize someone who was doing a much better job. If you get a platform to do something better and you fail to live up to the standards, or rather to match the previous standards of one who was involving themselves in the court case processes and moving the whole setup, so that at least people, number one, are properly updated and the lawyers are getting something. Now, Sarawaka failed, Stolle failed to do all of this.
Okay, so I think, Mkoma, we need to go back to what I said. Please use your influence. We want these guys to give back the group. Yes,
there's one thing which there's one thing which I would like to say. Now, sometimes if we give much attention to the negative things which people say, the wrong things which people say, I'm telling you, we won't go anywhere. Now, people used to say, I myself contributed, played a role to making sure that Nyoka Emabunu got arrested. What? And the rumor pushed for quite some time. And the same thing happened with people when they were saying, no, Gambakwe is compromised. Gambakwe is actually one of the people that wants to have Nyoka Emabunu returned to Zimbabwe, and a whole lot of things like that. That was wrong. Because I say you had communication with open lines of communication with Comrade Nyoka Mabunu before he even got arrested. If you wanted that to happen, you could have done that long back. If you wanted Comrade Nyoka Mabunu to be sent back to Zimbabwe, you could have done that. Why? You are one of the first people that alerted the nation that something is terribly wrong with Comrade Nyoka Mabunu. There is something bad which has happened to him, and chances are likely that he's been arrested. And you actually looked for him in the prison where he was jailed. So people might not really agree with some of the things that you do, but to say you're one of the people that want Nyoka Mabunu to be killed or to be handed over to the system, on this one, I'm in total disagreement with the people. Sometimes if there's a bit of some motion, if there's a bit of some progress, that will be initiated by other people. Let's give it time and see how it goes. If we are to give input, let's give constructive input that will continue to give us results. Just because we are not wired to the same frequency, we are not robots. Therefore, it's to be expected that people might have disagreements here and there. But in all honesty, you're doing quite a splendid job. You're doing quite a lot of work to save our brother, Comrade Nyoka Mabunu.
Okay, so Comrade Traore, I promised that this month of we're in August, right? We need to make sure that we have a change. This case cannot continue the way it is. So on my side, I will do what I can, and on your side, let's do what we can and get back Nyoka Mabunu's case into the front, and people will start getting proper updates. Starting next week, let's make sure that we don't abandon our brother. He is our brother. He's also Mnangagwa's brother. So even though he's opposing, he is a Zimbabwean citizen, and Mnangagwa is also responsible for Zimbabwean citizens like him. So I think we also have to approach Mnangagwa and say they can't keep someone in jail in a foreign country with no charges. So next week we start working on a process. But let's go back to our topic and let's wrap up. We've passed the 15 minutes already.
Yes.
Wrap up for us where we are and where you want us to go, where you want your followers what you want your followers to understand. You've got a big following and you are probably the last man standing right now.
Yes. What people need to understand is when dealing with these issues, there are quite a lot of complexities that happen behind the scenes. People, number one, have to be patient. And people need to be grateful that at least we've got a son of the soil who is speaking against the ills of the government, someone who is speaking against all the corrupt activities and those who are perpetrating it. People like Cde Traore, I'm sure people know them. This is the great work which General Chiwenga is doing, number one. And number three, people need to have faith in the man. People need to trust the process. He's well on top of the situation. He knows what needs to be done for Zimbabwe to be great again, and whatever that people are going through. He knows everything that the vendors are going through and what needs to be done for them to be able to trade freely without the chase that is coming from the police and whatever that Garo is up to. You see, so people need to trust the man. Let's pray for him and let's wait attentively for the next instruction that is going to liberate the nation. But I'm telling you, it's sooner than what people think. We're almost there, and people just need to have a little bit of some patience. The silence must tell people something. The silence which is there in the political corridors. Under normal circumstances, we've got one faction which is running over every corner, and that must tell you that there is something that must be pushing these people to try and have all angles, all corners covered. There must be something that is happening behind the scenes, and it's that something behind the scenes that is going to liberate the nation.
All right, thank you very much, Comrade Traore, and people can follow your channel. Your channel is doing very well. I'm always in touch. And your number is on the screen. I would like to encourage people to engage with you, to get in touch regarding the issues you're raising, and also generally to join your channel and to build up a relationship with you. Is there anything else you want to say before we close?
That's just about it. And I'd just like to thank everyone for having faith in the whole process, what Mdara Geza told us, and whatever vein of the revolution that we're moving in right now. Let's continue to do that. I'm telling you, one of the days Zimbabweans are going to celebrate, we are not very far. We are not very far. Believe me when I say this, I'm not one person that likes to talk just to make people happy, just to make people excited, just because this is a matter of life and death that we're dealing with. So people must maintain the peace which they have, and they must stand resolute by the instructions that Comrade Bombshell Geza left us. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Comrade Traore, and good day to everyone who's watching.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.